out tonight, can't you come out tonight? Buffalo gals, can't you come out tonight?
Welcome to Record-ology.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Okay, today we are going to unbox and review this. Pardon this weird shaded area, that's where the label was. This is the U-Turn Pluto 2 preamp. Now, let's start at the very beginning. We've done shows on preamps, what they are, blah, 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 blah. But if you don't know, the essence of a preamp is it is an amplifier. And the reason why it's pre is because you need one before your regular amplifier when you use a turntable with a magnetic phono cartridge. That's because a magnetic cartridge has a lower volume coming out of it than a ceramic one. So the volume is a phono level, meaning the voltage or volume coming out of it is low enough that your amplifier isn't going to know what to do with that. So you can't just connect a magnetic cartridge turntable without a preamp directly into a stereo system or powered speakers because it's still just too quiet. So what you need is a preamp. Now, a lot of turntables have built-in preamps, but if you want to invest in higher quality and, separate components for the preamp stage, you can do that. So U-Turn, who makes the fabulous $170 really nice turntable, makes a number of accessories, and the Pluto preamp is one of them. Now, we've had one of theirs for some time. This is the Pluto Phono preamp, and it's approximately $100. The old one was, and the new one is as well. So there's a little bit of a giveaway. So what is the big difference, right? What's different between the Pluto 2 than the Pluto 1? Well, stay tuned and I'll tell you exactly what it is. So yeah, in essence, you plug in your record player and then the output goes into your powered speakers or your stereo system, and then it's got a power supply and then a grounding post as well. So it's a pretty simple device. You leave it and forget it kind of a thing. You don't need to touch it every day. You just kind of have it running in the background. And a lot of people like to have an external preamp. Some of them are solid state, such as these. Some of them have, valves or tubes for people that, want to get that kind of warmer sound out of it. It's all very subjective, but I wanted to show you the original just as a starting point before we opened up the second one. And also I will speak to some of the improvements as soon as I grab my notes. I always, I take time. I look around before I film, like, do I have everything I need? Am I really ready? And usually I'm not. So let's go ahead and open up. This just arrived and I'm super excited. It came out last year. So this is something good that came out of 2020. Let's take a look at the back here. So these are some of the improvements, and I'm going to go into more detail, but there's more volume, less distortion, still uses precision components. It is designed and assembled in the US, and there are the specifications there. Input impedance, there's the input capacitance, the gain, all that good stuff for you to take a look at. So this will be really, really interesting. It's got a 3-year warranty, and again, made right here in the US of A. I love U-Turn stuff. I've never seen a U-Turn product that I didn't love. They just do great, great products. Just down-to-earth people putting together really quality products. So that's a good, good thing. So we got some instructions and then contact information for support, how to connect it, all that good stuff. Now the power supplies on these are kind of large. I remember the wall wart on the other one was pretty big, about that same size. So it is a pretty hefty power supply. But keeping this separate from the audio components is a good thing. And that goes for turntables too, because having this AC to DC conversion done in a separate location than the preamp itself where the audio circuits are is preferable, because power lines, power circuits, and audio lines don't necessarily go together well. All right, so we get an RCA cable here. Okay, and the preamp itself. This comes in silver and black. I've got the black one. So, interesting. We'll see how that compares side by side. Is there anything else in the box, or is that it? Looks like that's it. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. And let's open this. Always love opening new stuff. It's fun, fun, fun. Really cool. Look at that. QC approved by an actual person. Not that they all aren't. Other products as well, but rather than seeing like a QC number, to see an actual name written on there is really cool. James, that's really cool. So for comparison wise, yeah, it's smaller than the old one. Significantly smaller. That's really cool. This one has kind of a textured, I don't know how well that's going to show up there, but that's sort of a textured finish with a aluminum on the front. This one has a different material. It's a different kind of smooth cast on the front there. We've got that brushed aluminum. I'm sure that'll light up blue, I think. And on the bottom, serial number, some of the specs, and on the back, the familiar connections, the basically phono input, line level output, and a grounding post and a power supply. So it's a pretty simple device. Again, it's a set it and forget it kind of thing. But if you want to, really maximize the potential of vinyl, whatever you can afford to do to split out in components and separate pieces, you will reap better sound quality. So, better, separate preamps, separate amps, and that's the thing about all-in-ones, is there is a sacrifice in quality to have the cool factor and the all-in-one, design factor in a lot of the all-in-one units. So when you get into component vinyl accessories and record players, it's a big deal to kind of focus on the quality of the sound and not just the styling aesthetic. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hook this up. But before I do, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of differences between the old Pluto 1 versus the new Pluto 2. So the new Pluto 2, and by the way, these changes are also implemented in their built-in preamps than their turntables. So if you configure a U-turn turntable with a built-in preamp, you're also going to reap these benefits. So this now has a dual gain stage. So that one outputs at 36 decibels, whereas this one outputs at 41. So your signal to noise ratio is going to be improved with this. Basically, the louder your source audio is going into your regular amplifier, the better. Because having the volume louder here versus having to turn up your volume on your powered speakers or your amplifier will do good things in terms of minimizing noise and hiss and artifacting introduced further down the line. So cables and all that stuff, you want to do your amplification at the head end, and this helps with that with an increased gain stage. Also, it's a better power supply, less crosstalk, lower distortion. We talked about being built by hand. It does have the same RIAA network and premium caps and film resistors, all that good stuff. Just really, really well done and well thought out. So let me go ahead and connect it and we'll give it a listen. Before I do that though, I just want to compare right here. You can see the specs from one to the other. This is the Pluto, and then going over here to the Pluto 2. You can see that just across the board, they've improved. Now, this is a heck of a starting point because this is a fantastic preamp. This is the best one I've heard yet. So I'm really excited to give this a shot. Okay, let's go ahead and connect it and listen to it. Okay, and here we go. So we're going to be using the Audio-Technica LP3. We're going to listen to some classical music. This is a Columbia Masterworks record. Classical, so we can actually listen to something. And I am using the stereo microphones, so you should get a good stereo image, especially if you're watching on a newer iPhone or something with stereo, if you're using headphones or whatever. For speakers, we're going to use the PreSonus Aris 4.5s and our new phono preamp from Pluto, the Pluto 2. Without further ado, let's do this thing. Let's give her a listen. I'm super excited to hear this. This ought to be awesome. Okay, guys. First thing that's coming to mind is how I really need to fill this space over here with something. Just kidding. It sounds amazing. And, you know, I'm assuming you agree. Let me know down in the comments what you think, what your favorite preamp is. I know there's a lot of them out there. Again, I haven't tested a whole lot, but this is the best one I've ever heard, this Pluto 2. The first thing I noticed in the room, and again, hearing it over a phone, it's compressing video that's being streamed to you, compressed and decompressed and blah, 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 blah. And if you're listening on Bluetooth, you know, compressed again, you know, and transmitted. So in the room, I may get a little bit different experience than you, although I'm trying to minimize that gap, try to give you as much of the experience I'm getting as possible. But anyway, I feel that here in the room, I noticed an immediacy. There's quite a bit of punch to the music. It definitely, now you may be saying, well, yeah, you turn up the volume, it's going to do that to anything. But it's beyond that. There's something else that's sort of punchy about it. Something about the presence really seemed more in your face than the built-in preamp that I had been using on the LP3. So I'm going to leave this as is because I think this is a great upgrade. And again, if you can't afford an external preamp, built-in preamps are fine. But if you can afford it, you know, that's another layer, another thing for you to be able to enjoy. And again, if you want to introduce, you know, valves or tubes into the equation, that's probably the most affordable way to do it. But these solid-state preamps are really something special because, like we read about, like we talked about a few minutes ago, you know, it's so cool to have your audio being handled with kid gloves and in such a premium and delicate way, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? It's like your audio is going through the Ritz-Carlton. and I think that's a good thing. Now, you may be saying, well, introducing anything into the mix is negative. You want to minimize components. Well, this is a component that's going to be a part of the mix anyway. So you're going to have a preamp circuit, whether it's built in or external, to listen to a magnetic cartridge. So this is one way to do that. So if you want to pick this up, it's $99. Go check out their website, U-Turn's website. Just Google U-Turn and you will see it. I think it's uturnaudio.com. If I remember correctly, it's not available on Amazon, so I won't be having a link down below, but you can find it easily, and I would encourage you to do so. And it's a great product. But anyway, let me know down in the comments what you think, what your opinion is. I would love to hear it, guys. All right, that's going to do it for now. Happy record hunting. We will see you tomorrow.